I don't know if I've ever seen a main character so divisive in the respective fandom than I have with My Hero Academia's Bakugo. It was quite interesting looking at the comments about My Hero Academia Best Boi Contest, where he made it to the semifinals. Some people absolutely adored him, some people utterly despise him. Others ship him in unacceptable ships. What is wrong with you people? I myself have committed the grave internet sin of having an opinion, and this video is directed towards those that utterly despise him. I understand where you're coming from, I do. But at the same time, he has to be what he is for his story to work. And to be a bit edgy, a large reason why so many people have expressed that he deserves no redemption is because they're still young. Many of the My Hero fans have not had enough life experience to truly make mistakes that need redemption. And that's what Bakugo's story secretly is. It's a beautiful deconstruction of his archetype, and one of the most subtle ones I have ever seen. He's not trying to redeem what he's done, he's trying to redeem who he is. Don't believe me? Then keep watching. Let's start from the beginning, shall we? In order for any redemption arc to work, there needs to be something to redeem. Some of the less interesting versions of this trope are the bad boys with a heart of gold, those that fought against the main character but subtly fell for the power of friendship. A lot of them barely do anything bad to need redemption, or may have some story about how they did bad things in the past off screen. In Yu Yu Hakusho, for example, Hiei fits this trope of the bad boy who decides to fight for the good guys. He's given this fake sense of tension when he has the chance to kill every main character, but doesn't. Ooh, so intense, much conflict. In the Sensui arc, he was all torn up about his goal of unleashing the demon world into the human world and killing off everyone, something he's been wanting to do since the beginning, allegedly, and we totally believed he was gonna join the baddies, right guys? He eventually decides to join the good guys, solidifying his transformation from former baddie to good guy. Hooray! Another example is Mars from Black Clover, the baddie who tried to beat the good guys because his kingdom raised him to be a baddie. Eventually, main character beats him and instills within him the power of friendship, which causes the biggest swerve into good guy territory I have ever seen. Hooray! He's redeemed for all the bad things he has done, or has implied to have done. At no point do you even feel anything negative towards him. Scar from Fullmetal Alchemist killed good guys, but joined said good guys later on after he regrets what he did. Killua from Hunter x Hunter doesn't want to be an assassin anymore. And on and on and on with the brooding bad boys of those series that everybody loves. But from a story perspective, I can't really feel bad for any of them, as there's always good justification for them being edgy. In comes Bakugo. He's a little shit. He is specifically set up for you to hate him. I mean, Jesus, one of his first introductions is destroying Deku's prized notebook and telling him to kill himself. Dick! He's got an extremely powerful quirk surrounded by plebeians with subpar abilities, people who have been feeding his ego since he was a kid. After he gets attacked by the slime monster, we have a nice setup for the classic scene of the bad boy showing us a heart of gold by thanking the MC for the rescue. Instead, we get this scene.
俺はてめえに助けを求めてなんかねえぞ。助けられてもねえ。なあ、一人でやれたんだ。無個性の出来損ないが見下すんじゃねえぞ。おい、売ろうってか。見下すなよ、俺を。その後が。
This scene was perfect. Do you know why? It was the first breakaway from the typical bad boy MC rival. He didn't actually apologize, he kept being dickish. When Deku got accepted into UA, he continued his dickish ways and got pissed off at him for stealing his spotlight. He didn't just do one bad thing, then some minor good thing happened that makes him turn over a new leaf. He continuously embeds in your mind just how much of a jackass he is. What was the breakaway point from all this? When was it shown that he's begun to develop some sense of realization? It was during his first fight with Deku, and it was, like I said before, subtly brilliant. You can see how his face changes here after the fight is over. This is the first time we have actually seen him break off from his usual look of anger. It's an actual, genuine look of concern. When Deku begins falling to the ground, we see flashbacks of them as kids. But they're not Deku's flashbacks, despite him talking. No, they are Bakugo's flashbacks. Flashbacks of their friendship. It was the first time Bakugo genuinely hurt Deku, and it's when he realized his ego has taken things too far. To add to his ego breaking, the very next match he saw Todoroki, someone who he even admitted he could not defeat at that point. It is here, with small tears in his eyes, that Bakugo realizes that something in him has to change. And thank God we did not get a cliche monologue, but instead they decide to show and not tell. and I feel this is the biggest strength of how Bakugo's character is played out. Things are not spelled out. Too many shonen shows treat the viewer as some sort of idiot where every single little detail has to be explained. In this, you actually have to think like a human being and figure out what's going on inside his head. I'll break off from key moments for a second to explain some other aspects of Bakugo's character that is breaking the meta of what his character should seemingly be. He's loud, arrogant, angry, and obnoxious. When we see characters like this in other shows, they are quite stupid and straightforward. Doesn't matter if they're the villain or the main character. Bakugo, on the other hand, is nothing like that. He does not take his training and studies for granted. He even placed 3rd place in his class on the midterm exams. That's higher than Deku. He knows of strategy and tactics in combats that don't rely on brute force alone. As shown in the rescue training arc, he is able to discern situations at an immediate glance. His shouting at the people down below seems like he's being an arrogant dick, but he was actually properly assessing the situation. To add to his character, he learns, and he learns quickly. Even if his outer personality doesn't change, internally he is quick to adapt. He tried to take Best Jeanist's advice in dealing with the kids, but without his translator present, he's just hopeless, God bless him. Now that that's established, back to his more defining moments. The next major breakthrough we see from him is during the villain invasion. Despite his translator wanting to go and save everybody else, Bakugo does something out of character while still staying within his character. He seems like he's talking down to them, but he actually expresses confidence in his classmates, something he has never done before. While he still has every intention of becoming the best, he no longer thinks he will become the best because everyone is beneath him. He now thinks he will become the best despite everyone around him being so strong. We see this during the sports festival with his wonderful speech and Deku's reaction to it.
Sensei, 俺が1位になる。
絶対やると思ったなぜ品位を貶めるようなことをするんだ
せめて羽のいい踏み台になってくれ。
どんだけ自信過剰だよこの俺が潰したるわ
自信違う以前のかっちゃんならああいうのは笑って言う自分を追い込んでるんだ僕らを巻き込んでるのがかっちゃんっぽいけど
Arrogant characters like this typically stay arrogant and think they can walk all over everyone else. Bakugo has changed his thinking. He's not taking everyone on to show off, he's taking everyone on because he believes they can drive him forward. He's never thought like that. The way most people around him cannot see past the surface of what he does is strongly emphasized by Aizawa during his fight with Ochako.
しかし正直俺もそう思うわ何すん
今遊んでるっつったのプロか何年目だシラフで言ってんならもう見る意味ねえから帰れ帰って転職サイトでも見てろ
相沢先生
爆豪はここまで上がってきた相手の力を認めてるから警戒してんだろ本気で勝とうとしてるからこそ手加減も油断もできねえんだろうが
まだだまだこいつ死んでねえ
Everyone views this as him just being a bully, the usual stereotype of his character, but in reality, he's not underestimating her. Despite the way he speaks to her, through his actions, he is showing something he hasn't shown anyone before entering UA, respect. In fact, I'm pretty sure everyone watching the show expected this to be a one-sided affair. Bakugo most likely showed more respect to Ochako than her own fans and the Bakugo haters. The next major moment for Bakugo is when he and Deku had to take on All Might. Even I missed a couple of key points the first time I watched this. From the initial impressions, it seems that he does not want to work with Deku because it's Deku. While there is some truth to that, it was actually more to do with the opposing viewpoints on the issue. Replace Deku with anyone else while keeping the thoughts the same, and Bakugo would have acted the exact same way to them. Deku saw All Might as such a threat that they couldn't take him head on, and he was right. Bakugo saw him as such a threat that he couldn't possibly run away. He was also right. His feelings towards Deku do get in the way though, to the point where they blinded him to his views on being a hero. Despite Bakugo's clearly unheroic attitude and speaking habits, he still aims to be the greatest hero. While Deku worships All Might because of how he's able to be a hero while still smiling, Bakugo worships him because of his power to take down the bad guys. They have the same symbol, but different interpretations. The reason why Deku slugs him is not because Deku felt insulted. Deku slugs him because Bakugo lost sight of who he was. That's why Best Boy Deku sticks with him through all this time. He knows who Bakugo is, past all the stuff we see on the outside. He's a dick, but he is still a hero, and a great one at that. And still, despite how blinded by rage he currently is, he is still able to listen to Deku's reason. He is the one who proposed the compromise between the two after Deku smacked the stupid out of him. He was even willing to sacrifice himself so Deku can be the only one who passes through the gates. That is not a move his archetype does, ever. We move on to the climax of his character up until this point. We have arrived at the cliche turning point. The villains want to turn Bakugo into one of them. Vegeta turns Majin. Sasuke betrays the village. We all know how this scenario works, and yet it doesn't. The ultimate test of his character, his rage building, feeling that he's being held back while everyone surpasses him. The villains extend out a hand of friendship to build a society where Bakugo can thrive. And instead of doing what everyone expected, he told the villains to piss off, because in the most desire to become a hero, follows his passes what his outer shell gives away. While his anger might be a core part of his character, he is not controlled by it. This leads to a second fight with Deku, with it all laid bare.
なんでずっと後ろにいた奴の背中を追うようになっちまった。クソ雑魚のてめえが力をつけてオールマイトに認められて強くなってんのに、なんで俺はオールマイトを終わらせちまってんだ。
Bakugo is questioning his very essence, asking the person he sees most as a rival whether or not he's taking a wrong path in life. He doesn't beat around the bush and admits Deku has seemingly surpassed him, and is so burdened with guilt that he feels it was his own weakness that caused All Might to lose his powers. Unfortunately, I can't go into future events because spoilers, but much like how the first team test had such a major shift in his inner character, this was another major turning point for who Bakugo is, as he continues to make up for all the faults that we see. It's no good to only look at the surface of Bakugo. If all you see is the angry screaming and yelling, it's easy to miss everything going on underneath. He went from viewing everyone as beneath him to viewing everyone as a contender, and even as people who can help him become stronger. From calling everyone useless to putting his faith in them and acknowledging their strength. From thinking he's the strongest, to thinking he's so weak he practically killed his idol. From telling his friend he should kill himself over being so weak, to acknowledging that he has surpassed them. He is constantly learning, constantly changing, and constantly becoming a better person. Not a better fighter, a better person. And personally, I absolutely love that. You can't see much with Deku becoming a better person because frankly, he's a bit of a Mary-Sue. His only big flaw is that he's a bit of a coward when the power of friendship isn't available. Bakugo is perfect for that role because he began in such a despicable place. A place that deep down he acknowledges, and he worked towards improving himself and crawling out of that hole without changing who he ultimately is. And that's why Bakugo deserves your respect. Not because he always does the right thing, but because he does the wrong things, like everyone does. And he learns from his mistakes. More or less.